yeah, it's just like the certain mediums of art, like certain types of art have to be enjoyed through certain mediums. And Bioshock popped up in our discussion, and I was just kind of like screaming, like, yeah, this is the only place you can talk about this form of art because you're walking around and like, yeah, of course you're shooting things, you're doping yourself up, you're having these discussions, like philosophical discussions about government, about religion, about like nationalism. It's just this whole pantheon of discussions, but just packaged in this case, this disc worth $59.99. But like only because you can enjoy that through that medium. So if you buy that game, you have to buy the second game, and if you buy that second game, you have to buy Bioshock Infinite, I think it was, or whatever. But yeah, you're going through like this artist, this group of artists, because like what was the discussion? Cinema is like the Rolls Royce of media. You see me? So like yeah, guys can go out on the street and like make songs with like bones as they're tapping with sticks and everything. Like yeah, but then there's the huge this side of it where people have to pay $15 a ticket to experience this majesty. Because a movie isn't just a movie. Yeah, some movies are bullshit, and a lot of movies coming out now are bullshit, but they're expensive as fuck. It takes a shit ton of writers, and it takes a bunch of actors and a bunch of people just working like beehive level to get this one piece of art out. And there is a thought behind it, there is a direction, and there is a mindset. The Holy Mountain. It's just certain discussions, and it's like how it's all written, esoteric. Then you got like Bioshock, no gods, no kings, only man beyond this point. Oh, thank you. Yeah, certain art deserves certain mediums. It's weird. It's so weird. Cause I was thinking like, why don't we have indie films anymore? We were just arguing back and forth. I forgot what this guy's name is.
AI art deserves VR.
Hey, do you think
I'm gonna say it right now. That is gonna be the future. We are gonna speak. We're going to be in a virtual reality or augmented reality environment. We're going to speak to an AI, and gorgeous, complex, deep AI art is going to form around us.
Mm.
And then we can interact with it or transform it however we wish. I've been getting into AI art recently.
It's some interesting stuff, isn't it?
It's quite a rabbit hole. Curiouser and curiouser.
Have you checked out its philosophical poetry? It's some actually pretty deep shit.
Oh, like GPT stuff?
One of the AIs, yeah. It's some deep shit. And it's like, of course, it's philosophy. You can say anything and it'll make sense, but not in the way it's worded, not in its verbiage, and not in its direction. It's creepily... I say creepy a lot. I don't like bashing AI. AI is cool.
I agree.
But yeah,
it knows.
Weird. Yeah, it has to. But it's just weird, just like some of the dark art that's made there. But I like that kind of art. You look at like artists with schizophrenia and like how they would do self-portraits, and it would become more and more disjointed as time goes on, as they're slowly losing their grasp on sanity.
Entropy scale.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with AI generated images. You tell it to generate an image and then reiterate on the same image.
Yep.
Given certain parameters, and you do it over and over and over again, and it becomes very bizarre. And the newest feature of, what is it, Midjourney, version 5, I believe, it's zoom out. And so you start with a prompt that gives you an AI generated image, and then the zoom out from that image adds more and more and more context to it.
Oh, wow.
The very first one I ever saw was this woman, old woman staring straight at you in like the moonlight, and then it zooms out and she's standing in like the desert next to trailers and little buildings, and then it zooms out.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like you can see an entire desert, but you can still barely see her, and then it zooms out, and then it's like she's actually in a bubble, and it's actually looking through a portal, and then there's someone standing, some shadowy figure is standing and watching.
Oh, that's cool.
Within another realm, and then it zooms out. It's just great. It's fantastic. And some artists...
I forgot Midjourney did that shit.
Yes, and some artists are actually creating art which is what I want to try this. They're creating art. They're taking a picture of it. They're feeding that into Midjourney's AI, and they're saying, "Play with this. Reiterate on this." See, and some interesting things are coming out, and that's collaboration.
You're thinking about it like an actual artist. Most people who fear like AI art, they say it's like, what's the term? What are the terms looking for? Archaic or evil or demonic. It's just like you're forgetting that brush has a hand behind it. Every brush has a hand behind it. A hammer is a murder tool, and it builds houses. So, what are you gonna do? What are you scared of more? Your mindset behind AI, or how you intend to use it? Because like a lot of artists are starting to do that now. Like you'll even have like certain video games and AI Seinfeld. There's that now. It got so deep and so weird, and some of the discussions. Weird.
I honestly, I have not dug into that yet. Oh. I would love to do like a live react to that. That would be fun.
Absolutely.
Don't spoil it. No spoilers.
No, none at all. I'll spoil AI SpongeBob before I spoil.
Welcome to the Golden Wavelength podcast, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you for listening to us and subscribing to our shenanigans.
24. Oh my God. You guys want to know what's funnier than 24? 25.
You're ridiculous, Walter.
Let's get those numbers up.
This is Walter from Planet 9.
Hola, hola, hola.
He's with me in studio today. And we're talking about Discordianism, right?
Discordianism, entropy, art, and madness.
This is a really deep rabbit hole.
Oh my lord. It's scary, man.
Pack a frickin' lunch for this one. This is...
Whoa. Yes. Oh my God. And this is all coming off of just messing with art more. I'm not gonna lie, there's been a long period of time I haven't been able to do that, especially with music, and that makes me mad. But thanks again for shouting out for showing Rin to me. Really cool. Really dope. I'm gonna definitely check that out more.
Yes, Ren makes music.
Look him up. Look him up. But yeah, this crazy motherfucker introduced me to a movie called The Holy Mountain. Jesus Christ, I swear, everything that's sprouted from like my art and how weird it's gotten, it's because of you, damn it.
I warned you. I opened the cupboard of weirdness, which is full of occult books, and I pull out this dusty DVD, and it's still in its plastic wrapper, and we watched this movie, which is something else. It is basically an art project. It's like I don't know, decades of esoteric stuff.
Oh, like yeah.
Left hand, right hand path, esoteric stuff. Kabbalistic magic is in there.
Yeah.
Alchemical principles are in there. Hermeticism.
You know how much I paused that movie just to like look up some of those symbols, trying to Google what I'm looking at.
Greek mythology is in there. Jungian psychology, Jungian archetypes specifically. It is a very deep film, but it is also kind of difficult to watch.
It's art and it's magic. I don't want to get into that.
But that's definitely a Discordian, even though there is like a thread of esoteric wisdom that you can glean from it if you pause it and rewatch it and look up a bunch of stuff on Google. But yeah,
like a heroic dose, not every mind can go through this movie and just go, wow, I get it now. You just go, what the fuck? 30 minutes in, and you pause it, and then you stop watching.
What would you describe as basically the story of this? Before we get into Discordianism and Dada specifically, let's just wrap up a summary for people for what the Holy Mountain film is about. Right? It starts off with the Jesus figure.
Who is the thief in the tarot cards.
Or the fool.
The fool.
First card, yes. And then he meets who?
A quadruple paraplegic guy with a card on his back. What card was on his back?
It looked like a tarot card, like...
It was definitely...
A hand just a hand on a tarot card. I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, and then there's a lot of things that happen to Mr. Thief.
Much. A lot of things. Like it's. Should we spoil it? Can you even spoil this?
No, let's just stop talking about it because
I don't know.
This will become a Holy Mountain episode. This is not about Holy Mountain. This is Discord. There's a little bit of Discord here. We gotta get back on the track. Discordianism. Fair. Give me a definition.
Without the.
Give me several definitions because we obviously in our research have found that one will not suffice.
No, yeah, I want to find a more concrete definition because I don't want my definition to be too vague because, oh my lord, this is vague. Wait, I got a tab. Discordianism. Yeah, this is the 4th tab. So here it is. A religion, philosophy, or paradigm centered on Eris, also known as Discordia, the goddess of strife and discord. If we want to give the most cut and dry, it's religion / or philosophy or paradigm centered on Eris, the goddess of discord.
Is that really the chick with the golden apple?
That is definitely
Billion Man.
Yep.
What was it? Billion Man?
That was her name, Eris. You're good.
Callback. No.
Great callback.
So the golden apple was cursed. Is that correct? And it caused discord.
Yes.
Chaos.
And this isn't like Pandora's box where it happens and you're just like, oh no, I did this. No, there's intent behind the goddess of strife and discord. And the only intent is discord. Strife is a different add-in. I don't remember reading that part last time. Strife. Because why strife? You get me? Discord makes sense, but strife? Discord begets strife? Strife begets discord? I don't know. That's weird. Well, of course, yeah. I mean, think about, like, Dadaism and, like, just art, contemporary art. It's kind of like a middle finger calls by the war. It's like, yeah, fuck making money off of our art. We want to just trigger people. That's kind of what it is. Very low-key behavior. Discord, but I don't know if it's like that high of a level of discord. Maybe not to. Yeah, it is arousing thought, provoking thought.
So, again, the definition of Discordianism. So I'm so sorry.
Religion or philosophy. Religion, philosophy, or paradigm, all centered around the worship of Eris, the goddess of discord and strife. That is the cut and dry.
But what about Loki?
Loki, well,
so
if we're taking this definition as a foundation for us not to get lost in that fog, discord. Loki is definitely a mischievous figure. Discord.
Pan is also sometimes associated with
hardcore
chaos, panic,
demons. Sometimes the good folk, little tricky behavior, but not necessarily chaos for the sake of chaos. But Loki, yeah. Yeesh. The nature of nature, for real. Nothing's just like boxes and circles. There are so many waves and shapes and everything.
So you think people are embracing the chaos in the world by saying, this is our deity because then everything makes sense? Or then you handle it better, or what?
The chaos makes sense. We only exist, like life is a thing because of chaos and disorder in the universe. Such high levels of it. In fact, that this is the perfect time to be alive. Stars are still kind of sort of being born. Nebula is still pooping them out. And then, like, there's not enough black holes in the universe to try to sweep them up or whatever. Yeah, it's a discussion. Mathematically, too.
Like, not only do we live in a Goldilocks zone, but we live in a golden age, cosmically.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
But Discordia. Fnord. Can you tell me about Fnord?
Fnord. Let me look up
Fnord
Fnord again.
Fnord.
Is that on the tab?
we challenged our
poor
our AI intern Miss Lydia to give us a definition, and she gave us the definition of, what was the first one?
I remember nerd being one of them. It wasn't the first,
That was the last
but it was
one.
one of them.
We can't replicate it. We weren't recording.
God
Dang
damn
it.
it.
Pioneer was one of them.
Pioneer was the first one. The second one was
Fnord. And then you get the definition of pioneer.
Pioneer.
The first one was just very, very minor. That was the first one.
Minor,
Yeah.
pioneer.
As in, like, a rock minor.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get that out of Fnord? And then pioneer, and then the third one was, I don't know. Hey Google, what is the definition of Fnord?
Nerd has 3 different meanings.
There's the last one.
Starting with the most common one, nerd can be used as a noun as an informal term to mean a person.
Maybe
who
if
is
I do it in an
extremely
English accent.
enthusiastic and knowledgeable
Hey,
about
Google,
a
stop.
particular subject,
Hey, Google.
especially one of specialist.
Excuse me. What is the definition of Fnord? Ominous.
Flood has 5 different meanings. Starting with the most common one, flood can be
Okay.
used as a noun to mean.
All right.
That one's new. Flood is new.
Thank you, Lydia. All right. So, Fnord, give me a definition, please, Walter.
A word coined in 1965 by Carrie Thornley and Greg Hill in the Discordian religious text Principia Discordia. It entered into popular culture after appearing in Illuminatus trilogy, 1975 novels written by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. Here, the interjection Fnord is given hypnotic power over the unenlightened, and children in grade school are taught to be unable to see the word consciously. For the rest of their lives, every appearance of the word subconsciously generates a feeling of unease, confusion, which prevents them rational consideration of the text in which it appears. Unease and confusion. Unease. That part. You get hit in your uncanny bone.
But what is the premise here? Is this word being snuck into articles and books and stuff? That's kind of what I'm gleaning from that paragraph. What little I know. I think I actually have
Here's one you might
one
like.
of the Illuminatus trilogy books on Audible and talk about Discordianism. I mean, I couldn't get through most of it. I'm trying to work and kind of like relax and and focus on stuff, and this is just all over the place. It's very intense.
It's extremely. The word has been used in newsgroup and hacker culture to indicate irony, humor, or surrealism. Another art movement. And guess where did surrealism come from? What art movement pooped that one out? Andre Breton and all of them. Dadaism gave birth to surrealism.
Dadaism.
Mm-hmm.
The first time, like, I think that's basically what comes to mind when I think of Dadaism, is an interview with somebody and they had their tie sliced in half.
Scissors.
They cut their own tie in half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked into it, and they actually cut like a stranger. They walked up to strangers and cut their ties in half. And there were other things. I don't know what comes up when you look up Dada. I don't even know what it sounds like a musical genre to me.
Dada without looking, because I've studied this extensively in art school. All right, Dada was just kind of this, what's the term I'm looking for? Like a revolt and a rebellion against just like the art form during World War I. So like the art form pre-World War I. Yeah, it's punk. It's hella punk. Awesome. I'm talking about just like cutting out images, just weird shit, having a mannequin like hanging from a ceiling. Just weird shit. It's just things you wouldn't call art. Remember the guy who had the urinal just said that was Dadaism.
Okay, and then what do you call art installations like Piss Christ? Is that along the same vein, or is that
Christ
just
would definitely be along the same vein as Dadaism, because just the symbol, the religious side of that, and then like just the sacrilegious side of that, the blasphemy. But it's art, and it was.
And also, even if it wasn't a religious object, the fact that it is called an art installment when it is a vessel full of human urine with whatever object inside the urine is insane and chaotic and Discordian.
Mm-hmm. Very Discordian.
So the world's all wonky because of these Discordians. I don't know. What are we going to do with these people?
Let them paint. Leave those kids alone. Fnord.
So, I really need to know more. I need to know more about Fnord,
More about
please.
Fnord.
It's like
hackers
an itch.
and news groups. It's kind of like just. Let me see. Other uses. Fnord explicitly tags the intent and may be so applied to any random or surreal sentence, coercive subtext, or anything jarringly out of context, intentional or not. All right, so let me summarize that. So you can take this word, and because you're a weird artist and you like just knocking over people's glasses of water like a goddamn cat, you would throw Fnord in a sentence. You would just go, it's feeling really nice outside, Mr. Castell. You know what I plan on doing? Watering my garden. But I don't want to because they might just get burnt out because the water on the Fnord. just dry them out a little and burn the leaves or anything. You know what I mean?
You just sound crazy.
I'm going to put on my Fnord socks and just, yeah, that's Fnord. You hear it? And you just do it.
I'm going to walk away now.
That's what that means. Anything jarringly out of context, intentional or not. But you could also use it as like a verb or whatever, but then you're giving it meaning and you're giving it structure. You don't do that. Just throw it in a sentence. But it is sometimes used as a meta-syntactic variable in programming. Nonchalance and randomancy. Fnord appears in the Church of the Subgenius recruitment from the film Arise. Nonsensical term.
Fnord.
Fnord.
But again, we got minor, pioneer. No, was it pioneer?
Mm-hmm.
Minor, pioneer, nerd, flood. So we were almost convinced for a bit that there was some sort of Easter egg inside the Google programming.
Oh, that would be
that
so cool.
Generated a random, definition. I mean, I'm sure I could ask her to give me a random definition.
Right.
Hey Google, give me a random word.
Mascaron, noun. An ornamental face decorating the outside of a building, or a door knocker.
Oh, door knocker.
There you are.
Thank you, Lydia.
Pretty cool. Fnord.
Fnord.
All right, let's move on. So, Dadaism. What do you feel you've summarized Dadaism? Again, in my mind, this is just like another way of putting a label on modern art. Caricature, where it's like you take a piece of paper, you crumple it up, and then you put it on a canvas, and then you put it in a gallery, and then you know, people gather around it and talk about it, and
And to the uninitiated and the weird mind fuck that is actual art, it's not the same thing as the painting red, blue, and yellow. You remember red, blue, and yellow? It's a giant swath of red, and then you got a little line of blue, and then a little line of yellow at the very end of it, and there's this wide painting.
Nope.
You don't? Oh, okay. It was a painting that was I forgot the story of the guy's immigrant, Jewish descent. It was about just like living in oppression. That's why, like, if you look at the red part, there's portions that are like a little darker red, but it's the paint that was used. Blah blah blah. It was damaged. Somebody tried to refix it, and it didn't look the same because it was solid red, solid blue, solid yellow. Yeah, that's not Dadaism. It's not just like, here are these colors. Here's what this means. Like, no, you look at it and it evokes a feeling, and there was a story behind it. Dada, in the same vein as surrealism, is taking like a high heel shoe or a spoon and just covering it in hair and saying this is high art, and if you disagree, you are not an artist. Are you an artist?
Okay, but
that's Dada.
And you're doing it with the intent of doing it through your perspective of Dadaism, and not necessarily trying to achieve high art. Can we say that much?
Exactly.
Okay,
because they saw the contemporary view, the contemporary art of that time as just
high
bullshit.
art. Yeah, high art is a portrait of a woman that has about a dozen layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to capture light in ways that mystify modern scientists.
Right.
I'm talking about the Mona Lisa. It's, amazing. That's high art. And then I hear about these pieces that are allegedly sold for thousands of dollars when it's essentially an accident that happened to happen on canvas.
Right.
And then they pulled it up and they put it on a wall. And then probably an accident that could involve human feces, I've heard.
Yep.
Vomit. I mean...
Yep.
Come on.
Remember the one with the cigarette butts and the period blood? Yeah, that's high art. It's the highest of art. Art is a mind fuck. And the holy mountain.
Okay, that's fun. Let's have fun with that. Let's all, it's good to play. But whether you're, kids or adults, it's good to play.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's being sold for thousands of dollars, you gotta, put your skeptic hat on and go, is this money laundering? Involving the president's son. Moving on. All right, let's get to, what do you want to talk about? Scatting, the story of scatting.
Oh yeah.
Because isn't that kind of connected to the outbreak of Dadaism and how people were not only walking around with their ties cut in half and wearing probably bizarre clothing and walking lobsters down the sidewalk on a leash and things like that, but they were scatting at each other as a greeting and before they departed each other. What would you call that?
The adieu.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and so people were walking up to each other. It's a beautiful sunny day, and in the golden days, where everything was fairly normal, right? But then all of a sudden, people are walking up to each other, these well-dressed people, although one of them has their necktie cut in half, and they start saying gibberish at each other. Yeah. And then it gets more and more popular. It's on the radio,
Yep.
And then papers started panicking, like people, button-down people, pearl clutchers were panicking that that madness was out. There was an outbreak of madness.
Yeah.
From this stuff, but essentially, so scatting, as far as I understand, is essentially people agree that Louis Armstrong, in his recording of, what was it, Jeepers Creepers,
mm-hmm.
the music with the lyrics on them fell off of the, what do you call that, music stand, mid-song, and he didn't remember the lyrics, and recording back then was fairly expensive or tedious to restart. It wasn't as simple as pause and delete and restart on a computer.
Nope.
And so they just kept going with it. And in the spirit of nonchalance, Louis Armstrong started scatting the rest of the song, and it was brilliant.
Yep.
And I've probably listened to it like 50 times. And that spawned a lot of, scatting. I don't know if it existed before. People do debate that, of course, that's not the first instance ever of a person making instrument sounds with their mouth without having the instrument in their hands. And that's just, but essentially, I don't know, archetypally, I'm just going to go ahead and say that he put it on the map, at least. Yeah. He, really, I don't know.
Put it in the pop culture zeitgeist.
I don't know if the word scatting existed before he did that or not. But anyway.
It's a primarily jazz thing.
Yeah, and so people, were scatting at each other. I love the idea of that, of just like, you're walking along and everything's normal, and then you see two people walk up to each other, and I'm not even. Yeah, there you go. You do. Yeah, the guy says that. The guy says that, and then the lady says the same basic gibberish. And then you run away because you think the world's gone mad, and you go to your house and you lock the door.
It's the devil's music, I swear! I heard this man screaming like a peacock!
So that Nonchalance project, they also, we should have gotten our beverage situation sorted before we started recording.
I still got some in there.
I need to get a mini fridge in here. Anyway, so the Project Nonchalance kind of had that Dada sort of Discordian spirit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like that's kind of the spirit of, like, you know, that form of art. I mean, many forms of art. Some would argue all art, because if art isn't provocative, it's not art. But those are like just what do you call those, art purists? Like, oh, this isn't true. Oh, it's not real. It can't truly be true.
you're kind of making fun of me, Walter.
I'm making fun of art collectors.
Because that's kind of what I was saying earlier about.
Is that what you said?
The Mona Lisa has more art value and
No,
is truly high
because
art.
the Mona Lisa wasn't really important back in its time.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
is true.
It was on a wall with a bunch of random other paintings.
Yep. Not to mention the artist also made like schematics for like tech and just tech of that time and just machines and everything. That was art. It was pure art. That I agree. But like the difference between a Manet and then a Basquiat.
Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
Is that high art? That's
It was
high.
paid for. And you know how much the artist didn't want to do it?
Let's not talk about that. That's a
It was
bummer.
one of those. It was one of those.
That's a bummer. Is that why you made? No, we're not.
But I feel like all art is supposed to be at least slightly provocative, and not just provocative as in like gross or ornery. I mean, like, just thought provoking. If you look at it, what are you being told to think? It's like what are you being told not to think? And then like looking at this, what do you gauge from it? The Holy Mountain. Remember the ending? Oh my lord, greatness. I digress.
Don't spoil anything for people.
Oh, I'm not saying shit.
Not that
I don't
anyone.
think that movie can be spoiled.
Not that anyone is gonna hunt this movie down. It's kind of
Please
difficult
do.
to get, honestly.
The Holy Mountain.
Yeah.
Alejandro Jodorowsky?
Not safe for work, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, let's
Oh.
stop talking about this random film that nobody knows about.
That's why no one knows about it. It was true art.
I wanted to bring up in my little rant about, the ridiculousness of modern art, this instance of somebody going to an art gallery, taking their glasses off, placing them on the floor. I think they had a spotlight kind of shining on the glasses in an area that didn't have any other pieces in it, I think they chose. So it was sort of like a blank area or a corner of a gallery off to the side, but it had this little spotlight, I think, on it. I forget exactly where this happened or the details, but I just remember the ridiculousness of it, where this was placed on the floor. I don't know if they had a little title card also for the whole bit, but I would have done that. But yeah, they have glasses on the floor. Then people start just walking up and standing around this, and taking pictures of literally some dude's glasses that you just placed on the floor in an art gallery, and people are thinking it's modern art.
That is grade A.
And
Dadaism
in my opinion, the true work of art, if I'm going to put my Banksy hat on, I'm going to put my Banksy hat on real quick.
Do it.
The true art piece would be someone painting or photographing a scene of those people on their phones taking pictures of glasses on the floor in an art gallery of good art.
Yeah.
You have to make it to where the other pieces in the gallery don't have anyone standing around them.
Yep.
And they're really good, high art. And then you have glasses on the floor, and that's like the big deal with all these NPCs. Anyway. But so like I mentioned earlier, someone crumpling up a piece of paper and then putting it on canvas and then calling it art, and then it sells for a bunch of money, right?
Yep.
There was an instance of somebody taking a piece of paper, like a small rectangle of paper that you could fit into the palm of your hand, like a long rectangle. Then they bent it in 4 or 5 places, kind of like a zigzag shape, correct?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they put it up for sale on the internet.
On the internet? God damn it.
Yes, Yes, the realm of Discordia. And
Yes.
guess what happened?
It sold for a fortune, didn't
It sold for a lot of money. You know who bought it?
Who bought this?
Cold Ones.
That's cool. No way. How much did they buy it for?
Too much. I think it could have been. It was definitely hundreds of dollars, but it easily could have been 1,000 or more. But definitely hundreds of dollars for literally a piece of paper that was bent in a few places. Wow. Called origami. There was another one. No, they did two. There was another one.
Madmen. I love you guys.
There was another one that was paper that was crumpled, and it maybe resembled a boot if you blurred your eyes. And that's called origami. They sold it for a lot of money to these Cold Ones guys who bought it, for a laugh.
Were they being true art appreciators? What would you give a definition of art? I don't think we've dug that deep. What would you define as just art? Encompassing music, painting, sculptures, so on and so forth.
Well, I like the facet about that you say about it has to provoke people and make them think. Question the past, question the present, think about the future, etc.
There we go. I like that.
And I think Banksy is one of the greatest artists of our time, and he does that very well and most importantly very elegantly. And that elegance, almost like simplicity that borders on archetypal, I think that is along the same vein that memers
Yep.
seek out, and they seek out that simplicity in the format and in the joke, and it's, I don't know, that to me that's the best sort of art. But then also you have like I said earlier, the Mona Lisa and all these layers, and it takes so much time and effort to make a piece that has so many different forms of media in it. I mean, think about when that painting was made and all of the ingredients it took to make all of those pigments and oils and everything, the canvas, everything. It's amazing. But then I see, again, crumpled up pieces of paper, period, blood, vomit, etc. in the 2020s called art. And it's just, no, you lost me. I don't claim that as an artist. I admittedly am an artist.
It's modern day Dada, man.
And I don't claim it. I think it's either degeneracy or trolling, and a troll will use any label that's appropriate for the bit.
Yep.
And if they're going to call it high art or Discordian art or whatever, they're going to call it that, but they're going to get away with what? Shitting in the street and putting a spotlight on it? Anyway. Okay, we covered Dada, scatting, Nord, modern art. I brought up flash mobs for some reason. I guess mobs. In the flash mobs in the vein, I wrote here flash mobs, I guess in the same vein as nonchalance. The idea of purposefully injecting novelty and maybe a hint of chaos in someone's just ordinary, bland life, their daily life. They're going through their day, home to work, and the days are bleeding together, and everything's boring and normal, and not much is happening, and then suddenly, everybody in the street just stops and they freeze in place for like several minutes or something, or all of a sudden, I don't know, all of a sudden there's people walking around dressed as like aliens, or Sasquatch is dancing next to a beatbox. What was that? Yeah, that was in nonchalance. Yeah, breakdancing next to a Sasquatching, breakdancing, and it's just, I like that idea of injecting novelty in people's lives and
shaking the foundations, as it were.
Think outside of the box kind of thing. Absolutely. I do appreciate abstract art to a degree, but again, like things like Piss Christ, where it's just like you're just being a what is the word? Blasphemous troll, basically.
Yeah. Who was the Oh no, I'm not gonna go into that. That was some very, very X-rated art, and I'm not gonna say that out loud.
How are we doing on time, Walter, for this weird episode?
Oh, we're in 39 minutes and 50 seconds.
Rubbish.
We're doing fine. We're doing fine.
Rubbish. 30 minutes. All right.
We're not done, are we? I don't think we're done. I could go on for hours, because we've only scratched the surface of surrealism. Just like all of the things that were created from that, and not even just like paintings and exhibits and things that you can touch or see or feel or anything, but like, well, I said touch or see or feel. Anything in an exhibit. Digression. Movies and music of the surrealist era. Strange stuff. Certain instruments that you use or instruments that were invented. What was man. God damn it. Yeah, surrealism. Oh my god. Let me find a path to go on so I don't get lost.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Let's talk surrealist music.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Are you familiar with Dan Deacon?
No.
Okay, so, yeah, again, people who trip on the sacrament come back with, like, just the cosmic joke and kind of just arousing thought and, like, social settings and everything, but, like, playing music, making animated videos and stuff to do that. His instrument of choice was, or are, modular synthesizers. Going into, like, AI and machines and everything being used as a paintbrush. So he'll, like, have these sets where he's just tweaking and turning knobs and just making these, like, grand moments of music. Or maybe it's weird because he's got this phaser on his voice, too, and he's singing a little like this and everything. And it's weird. But it's music and it's art. And he came, those mindsets only came from just, like, being out in the purest definition of the Tao. Like, the heroic doses. And then you come, like, you start off playing, like, guitar, watching Black Sabbath, learning your power chords. But then you go into this trip and you come back and you're just like, well, here are 19 albums I'm going to write now with these instruments and these instruments only. And then you're being featured everywhere on television and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I feel like surrealism and Dada are just like the spirit of the universe. Entropy itself, like life wouldn't happen without entropy. So there's a little poke of chaos in it all. And then, like, of course, what was the other one? From chaos, order. What was that quote? How did that go? In Latin.
Oh, you're killing me. I don't know.
But yeah,
Ordo
yeah,
ad
just,
chaos.
there it is. But yeah, just chaos is part of it all. And like Discordia is kind of like not necessarily the worship, because it says paradigm, philosophy, and religion, or religion. So it's kind of just like realizing that there really is the purest order is disorder, but organized chaos is music. Paraphrasing. So anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Shine a flashlight on a bunch of atoms for an extremely long time, billions upon billions upon billions of years, and why would you not expect a plant to exist? That was the quote. Very, very, very wild. Life exists because life had to exist.
I'll give you a quote in this same spirit. Everything is the smell of burnt almonds.
Interesting. What is that from?
From somebody who went far, far, far out, and their mission was to, I don't remember if it was a psychonaut or it was a near-death experience situation, but they went far, far, far out, and everything was the smell of burnt almonds.
Interesting.
Which is very, I guess Discordian Tao sort of. I see that. I feel the spirit of the thing that you're talking about. Yes, because you could say the same of anything. You could say everything is the smell of lavender. You could say everything.
But what does that mean?
Everything is like you go far, far out, and then you're somehow at a point where you're looking down on everything that exists, or you're floating above everything that exists, and but the only sensory input is the smell of burnt almonds. I'm guessing that's what the situation was.
I like that.
I don't know. Or there's things like that, thinking outside of the box kind of things. Like, I met God and she was black.
What's that?
You ever heard that?
No.
Look that up.
I met God and she was black.
Yeah, I think Terrence McKenna brought that up at one point.
Interesting. Tab.
Almost, I don't know, in a way seems like, it reminds me of the thelemic notion of space as anthropomorphized as a divine female. You know, space, outer space, blackness.
I'm seeing t-shirts.
You're seeing t-shirts? What?
That's all I'm
Show
seeing
me.
is t-shirts. I met God. She's black.
You ought to give me more credit than that. Let's
No,
see.
that's incredible. 'Cause I'm just going like, huh. Wow. That's a...
21-year-old atheist
Oh, dear Lord.
turns "I met God, she's black" slogan into a viral fashion. Oh, although he did not invent the phrase, blah, 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 blah.
No, that's art.
Describes a 21-year-old who... Yeah, Dylan Chen... Okay. What are we supposed to... I don't know.
It's all wankersham. To our bravest warriors out there. It's all nonsense. But, yeah, that's just...
This is gonna
Tao.
bug me. I have to find... Okay, is it a book?
The positive, the negative, the ground. The yin, the yang, the yang.
Tiffany Reese.
The
It's
sun,
a book
the
by
moon, the stars.
someone named... Yeah, Tiffany Reese. Very highly rated. Yeah.
Hmm.
When was that written? I am on my own
Everything
little...
smells of burnt almonds.
I am on my own little side thing. Because I thought, like, maybe if I heard this from Terrence, then it had something to do with someone's trip.
That's what I was thinking. Just like something wild that you see. I like the, what was it, the philosophy of just
It's from 2018.
God being like the mad artist. Everything exists because novelty. I thought that was really cool.
In my mind... So it's like... you can't put God in a box. You can't...
No.
So anyone could come back with anything and say, you know, that it's... The all is like this. The all is like that. When, I don't know, I prefer...
All is both and
So-
neither.
Yeah, most of the time I seem to prefer the hermetic, you know, the all, just like... But for conversation, I think most people prefer to the masculine God.
I mean, well, yeah. What-
But then and then so that,
Abrahamic, you mean?
like, so, referring to God as he, and then, yeah.
Very Abrahamic.
But then I sometimes refer to it as it when I'm thinking more along the lines of, like, so, say, Albert Einstein's.
Realm of intellectualism.
Yeah.
I get you. It would make more sense. Being an equation more so than like an anthropological figure. I feel like that just exists up on higher thoughts because, like, think of like Lovecraftian gods and like just those large creatures and everything. You try to peer into its mind and it's just like you were driven mad. You're driven mad just by the sight of it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I feel like that would be the definition of whatever God is, because it's ineffable by definition. Because if you try to put it in a box, you're driven mad because you're trying to put it in a realm of, you know, empiricism and everything. The realm of scale and compass and measurement. You can't do that. That's why art is so fucking weird. That's why life is so fucking weird. We try to keep adding the math together to try to figure out why we're here, why does gravity exist, what are the foundations of this reality? Where does God hang his teacups and everything to dry? It's like, what is all of this? Well, the surrealists would tell you that it's all a wankership. Dada, they would say it's all art, and it's art for the sake of art, for the sake of art, for the sake of art. Certain Hinduists will tell you that it's kind of a cosmic dance, but like it's just to be observed and to be loved and to just be enjoyed. And you are the audience and the dancer.
Sounds like you're saying, embrace the chaos.
I mean, I'm saying Discordian, so I might be touching on some points. Look at entropy. We literally only started studying what entropy is, like the very heartbeat of the universe. I'm not making up these words. I'm not just
You
big
can't
breed.
fight it, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that all is because all is because all is.
Oh my goodness, we've lost
And
him.
all is wankershit.
We've lost him, people.
But yeah, entropy was discovered because of some 17-year-old soldier or whatever wanted to help in the battle between, what was it, Germany that was invading? No, Germany, Russia, and another country was invading France back then. Napoleon was like...
Now I'm in World War One.
yeah, World War One. Wait, was it World War One? No, Napoleon, maybe? I don't know. Napoleon...
The Napoleonic War?
It was, yeah, one of those. But he was trying to get in contact with Napoleon because he wanted to join the efforts and everything. He was studying, like, steam engines and blah, 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 blah. He never got a response. So I believe it was a relative of his who studied, like, the engine or whatever, and they were figuring out that, like, efficiency, it was only, like, pumping out 3% of, like, converting heat into mechanical energy. This is all about art, I swear to God.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm in fucking school. I'm in school now. Professor Walter.
Professor Walter's in the house.
I need to go take a bathroom break.
Fair enough.
In reality, I'm gonna go smoke
keep
a death stick and think about this, or not. Try not to think about this.
Should we give this a break? A quick little break. All right, quick little break. A little pause on the. Now it's recording.
All right, we are back, folks, and I'm gonna try to maintain my sanity as we delve deeper into. I guess it's a subject. Is it a subject? What is a subject? What is anything? I don't know. Take it away, Walter from Planet 9.
Here we are. Where did we leave off on? Math and dealing with entropy and trying to discover it and what the fuck everything is. Alright, so, yeah, steam engines. Guy couldn't go to the war, tried to contact Napoleon. And, he talked to not a sibling, it had to be, I don't know, some relative or whatever who was working on steam engines. And he realized that
My chairs.
we were only 3% 3% efficient at converting heat into energy. You know, that's how mechanical energy is created. It's getting energy from heat. So you heat up something, you got steam, that steam turns a turbine. Or if you got like a engine, you have gasoline, so that burns, spark plugs, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. You have movement. So he was trying to figure out what's a more efficient way to do this. He figured out cold tabs and compressed air, yada 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 yada, blah blah blah, yada 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 yada.
Oh my God, I'm in an episode of Seinfeld all of a sudden.
But that goes to show that he was trying to figure out what is the most perfect engine to make. So then you find out that, like, energy is just always. There's no destroying energy. It only transfers. The amount of energy that we receive from the sun is the same amount of energy that we push back out. The sun is our source of entropy. Sun gives us that. It gives us, like, just a system to be able to work that off of. So you have plants, and you have those plants that came from cyanobacteria because you had sunlight and a whole host of crazy chemicals going on and everything. You have a universe. You created life from scratch because life had to be created. We're in a Goldilocks kind of spot, not too far from the sun, not too close to the sun. You got life here. But that's because the universe had to sit around for 13.7 billion years?
Or it was aliens.
Or it was aliens. The Prometheus thing. But that's only because that makes sense. It's just like something has to make sense. There has to be some order to this chaos. And the truth is our existence is kind of that order to the chaos. Or if you want like a pure definition of like order to that chaos, you have black holes, which give off Hawking radiation, blah, 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 blah. We didn't figure that out until we started looking at space and developing our telescopes to be strong enough to be able to determine that. I digress. The Kelvin scale.
That's so deep.
I don't want to dig too deep in that because then we're going to get into lambda calculus and how computers work.
I'm on a little thread. I'm just hanging by a tiny little thread, and this thread has a label on it. And the label says Discordianism, but somewhere out there in these flashing visions of the cosmos and steam engines and algorithms, Walter. Walter. Okay, so the guy wanted to make a better steam engine, so he studied entropy and thermal dynamics.
He went further into studying thermodynamics, and that's when he came across like what entropy might be, the ground floor of like what entropy is.
And so you could say entropy is like a tenet or facet of the philosophy of Discordianism, if you can call it a philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, philosophy / religion / paradigm, and or both neither. Very Tao. Very, very Tao. That's why I like that they included like Taoism and Zen. Mm-hmm. Because those have to be like holding hands, holding arms.
But I mean, speaking of entropy, we went from a Taoist or Zen student or master, I don't remember the exact circumstances, painting a masterpiece using the end of his hair dipped in ink.
Yes.
While he's drunk on rice wine.
Mm-hmm.
To Piss Christ.
I forgot about Piss Christ.
I will never forget about Piss Christ and the fact that it's worth that amount of money. I would love to ask our intern about Piss Christ, but I am honestly afraid of what will happen.
Now I'm excited. Let's throw a little Dadaism at Lydia. Hey Google, what is Piss Christ?
According to Wikipedia, Immersion is a 1987 photograph by the American artist.
And she just stops mid-sentence, too.
She was looking at the Wikipedia article and was just like, mm-mm.
You tried, Lydia, didn't you? Hey, hey, Google.
We should have known that as soon as we started talking about Discordianism, maybe chaos was somewhere around the corner.
I'm done. Okay. Keep going. Explain chaos for us, please, Walter for Planet 9.
All in all, chaos is kind of
the walls are melting.
The heartbeat of the universe. When we have peak entropy, there will be no more movement in the universe. Nothing else. What's the term? How did the phrase go? Nothing else exciting will happen. That's not verbatim, but that's pretty much what it said. When all of these atoms stop moving and they're in like such zero energy, when they reach absolute zero on the Kelvin scale, which was derived from like the steam engines and blah blah blah, trying to figure out how do we make the most efficient engine. So there will be no more movement. The last black hole will evaporate, and the universe will be just still Tao. And we're in the moment of
And we're sure that is like the cutting edge. That's the latest theory that might be right. Because what if it's the opposite? I don't know. As far as I know, it's the opposite.
The other theories are like well, that's the big freeze, because the Big Bang is a thing. Right. So the big freeze is the universe reaches perfect entropy.
This chair does make noises,
it does
Walter.
Creak. I didn't notice that before. Is it picking up?
I'm a creaky boy right now.
Squeak. Roll back and forth and see how much squeak we can.
But you know what? I'm sure the audio quality is much better than it was in the first episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you to all 24 subscribers for
Thanks
putting
for
up.
bearing with us.
Yes.
It was a long road, but we are here now. We can only be here now.
All right, so Discordianism.
Just the worship of just like, not how magical entropy is, or like how that is like the life force or like the heartbeat of the universe. Just wild chaos until it's death, quote unquote, heat death, which is actually what it's called in physics. But knowing that we are just like at that state where everything can be possible. Living can be possible. Breathing can be possible. Pot and marijuana can be possible. we're in that realm right now. There will come a time where there won't be at that point. Just like if we look out into the universe, there are star systems that we we'll never be able to see. That's why we have like the observable universe. It's a huge bubble of just awareness that we have, like how far our telescopes can see and how far it is for physics to allow us to see beyond that veil. We can't see beyond a certain threshold, and we will never be able to, because we were born at this time in this point of the universe at this age. Like further on in our human evolution, if we make it that far, like 1 million years in the future, the Andromeda galaxy will be so much closer to us. Like eventually we're supposed to merge those two galaxies, but we won't be able to see any of the stars outside of those star systems, those galaxies, because every other star would be so far away. There's no advanced technology that you will ever be able to create to be able to see beyond that. It's one of the things that keeps Neil deGrasse Tyson at night, up at night, and one of the things that freaked out Albert Einstein. It's like there is a whole realm of influence that we can never know. We can't.
We're
We're
a goldfish in a fishbowl.
Absolutely.
And there's something walking around outside of the fishbowl.
Traipsing about the outside of our awareness.
Tapping the glass. Dropping things in.
So on a theme like ancient aliens and just like advanced AI just visiting us.
And then there's an earthquake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fnord.
This Fnord thing, it's going to be one of our memes now. Thank you, Bradley.
Oh, my Lord, yes. You're a kick-ass Bradley 23.
And then I found, like, the next day, a post comes up on Facebook. I hate Facebook, but it has its purposes for, like, AI art
Metaverse
and stuff. Somebody posted a picture of the Minecraft main menu and how it has random messages, on the right, and it just said Fnord.
Wow, really?
Day after that, Bradley posted that.
That's so cool.
In the Discord, so yeah.
What the fuck?
That's synchronicity level 1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool.
That is incredible.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
I don't know.
Cool. I don't know.
I don't know. So let's keep rolling.
Notice me, senpai. Notice me.
Let's keep rolling. We're falling apart here, Walter. Oh my God.
That is the spirit of Discord.
The walls have now melted into the floors. The windows are now doors.
2 + 2 = fish. Left is cat a quarter. Up.
Let's keep going. All right. I don't even have my notes in front of me. Not that they were any use in this entire weird episode. We might as well bring freaking liminality out of
oh my Lord.
out of our pocket, because we never posted that episode.
We didn't.
Because
Yeah,
all kinds of weird audio things happened. And
liminality is kind of like just the awareness of just what was it, those transitory periods, places, or
any in between.
Yeah, any in between. So like emotional states as well. There.
In physical sense or concepts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very true. So when you have moments like we're living in now, where there's just like high stress all over the globe for various reasons, I won't get into that. But our art is gonna be like really, really weird. All of our art is turning out weird.
I think we're in a liminal time.
We are in a very liminal time. Where we're transitioning to, fingers crossed it's great. Data points otherwise, but we don't know. We don't know.
Yes, we're in a liminal time. We're also in the middle of a continent, so we're in the mid, area, Midwest.
Whoa.
Liminal area.
Wow.
And then, just recently we had, what was it? What holiday was that we just had? It wasn't. Was it Letha?
Letha?
Lunasad? I don't know. Well, there was just recently a festival, Midsummer, basically.
Yes.
Which is a liminal period of the time of year. And I'm pretty sure we were exploring Lake Jacomo at that time, so it was liminal age for the world, liminal region of the continent, liminal time around twilight.
True.
So yeah, the idea that, twilight, which is between night and day, is a liminal period of time, and that's when high strangeness is said to occur. That's when a lot of missing 411 cases occur. And then you've got, that moon statistic thing kind of contradicts that, because the full moon and the new moon are extremes. The waxing and the waning process between those is the liminal. So you would expect if there was some sort of liminal law to this kind of thing, liminal, that would come up. But no, I don't even know if we've addressed this yet in the Golden Wavelength podcast about, missing 411 in general. We haven't really introduced for people, but it is a study of missing people under mysterious circumstances that stretches from the 1800s to modern day. And there seem to be more cases now than there ever were. A lot of these cases occur around the same time of day, twilight time. A lot of these cases involve impossibilities and contradictions, like the person who's missing for days or weeks winding up on a path that the searchers use every day to get into the area, as if something is presenting the victim there and saying, here they are. We were supposed to be talking about liminality. No, this whole thing started out as Discordianism. Anyway, yeah, we're going to get into missing 411 and the lunar phase pattern at some point.
Absolutely.
How are we doing on time?
We're doing great. In addition to the 13 minutes and 39 minutes last time, in addition to the 15 right now, we're looking at 54 minutes. Not bad. I'm going to say 56 because the seconds. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Math.
Shop talk.
All right. What do you got for me on your babbleometer there, Walter from Planet 9?
I was discussing with Sir Timon the Golden about just not necessarily entropy, but our study of quantum mechanics and physics, and how that kind of relates to like how we implement not just our technology, but what is that? It influences our technology.
I'm gonna throw a playing card at you.
Our technology at the bleeding edge of all discoveries. So, we have rockets now that can land themselves. We have telescopes that can see like much, much farther out and like in different wavelengths, so that we can view the cosmic microwave background of the universe, created since the Big Bang. And we're learning more. So like we're supposed to be growing as a species, because now we are aware of just like these, what term am I looking for? These more foundational, these fundamental systems that we've like existed upon forever, but we've never been able to like crack the code or like actually look at it before it like vanishes before our eyes. Or our technology is so wild that if we try to measure what what these systems are doing, it changes the output. Like the double slit experiment, like with light and everything, how it looks like a wave, but then you send one photon after another, and then eventually that looks like a wave, so it looks like a particle and a wave. It's both and neither until you look at it, and then it's a particle. Yeah, quantum physics is a fuck show. It's weird. It's so weird.
My head hurts.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. But that's chaos. And that we live.
And you're an agent of chaos.
Because of chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
I hope I'm not hurting people's
I don't want
ears.
to kill you, Batman. What would I do without you? Yeah, it's grand. And yeah, Goldilocks. We're at the greatest moment of all existence. So we can be nihilistic about it all, but we can't because we're here.
So we're spoiled children.
We are such spoiled children, and we're in our rebellious phase as a species.
On every scale, because
on every scale.
it's the big scale, or the biggest scale, which we're not going to get into because that's a whole other can of worms. It's religion.
When they start talking about the Kardashev.
And then there's the cosmic scale you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's things like here at home, like Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Like likelihood of Yellowstone going off, the likelihood of the big fracture. What is that huge fracture line that'll create, a gigantic earthquake?
Yeah, the big faults.
So it's things, right. I think about that sometimes. Things that are not ifs, they are whens. How does any of this have to do with Discordianism? I'm gonna pull us back on the rails. I'm gonna say, by the way, so when I hear the word Discordianism, the term, I'm basically thinking about teenagers and young adults who are basically trolls, but maybe trolls who know a time before 4chan and Twitter, and they needed to vent their troll instinct, so they go out to the streets, whether on foot or in their borrowed their mom's car, and they go out into the world and they do goofy things. They I don't know, some of it might involve property damage and graffiti and things like that, but they go out and they cause chaos in the world, for the sake of chaos, and then they just say that they're Discordians or whatever. Isn't there something like the Church of Discordia or something like that?
Was there a Church of Discordia? There has to be. I mean, because these are just...
I mean, yeah.
Wild men.
There's a flying spaghetti monster.
Oh my lord, yes.
Church, so I'm going to assume that there is a Discordianism church of some sort.
Oh, wow. Well, we have our popes and religious figures. You want to hear what it says about the popes of Discordianism? Every single man, woman, and child on this earth is a pope.
Go on.
As for saints, there are 5 classes of saints within Discordianism who are those best act as exemplars and are closer to perfection. Only the first of these classes, saint second class, contain real human beings, deceased and alive, with higher classes reserved for fictional beings who, by virtue of being fictional, are better able to reach the Discordian view of perfection. So, yeah, Eris being the anthropological depiction of Discordianism, because chaos, the golden apple, drop it anywhere and it creates more chaos. But maybe knowledge, because the apple, like we talked about, is symbolic, like the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden.
The fruit of the knowledge of good and evil.
The fruit of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
I say with knowledge comes chaos, because if you're aware of like the world around you and how wild it is, it kind of affects you, because affects with A. It affects with an A, because you don't really have art with other species until they're like more intelligent. So you have octopus who have like certain communities that they've created, certain structures that they build, and like that serve no purpose to like their survival or anything. So like by definition, it's art that octopus creates. So we're like looking and going, how fucking smart are these things? That's weird.
I can
the dolphins don't do that. So
I can kind of understand that. So yeah, it's not like there's been millions of years and the cockroach has developed its own culture and it's expanding and it's making plans, and it's no longer simply just the life of a cockroach as we know it. No, it's developed over time.
Very true.
This will make sense.
I can see you're good.
I promise.
Still holding on.
No, so like with humans though, suddenly the human, which sticks out among all the animals in the animal kingdom, suddenly he's there. It's there, and it's like what we mentioned earlier, the splash effect. So suddenly all it is just one competitor in this gigantic game of life, one victim along with all the other victims of the great churn. And yet it's not just the same. It's we have gone to space. We have changed the face of the earth. We are looking into mining asteroids. We have big plans. We've developed. We've changed. We have all these different facets. We're like fractaling, changing beings that have a great impact on the world. I like that idea of the splash effect. I need to give Connor of the Planet Weird podcast credit for that. He said the splash effect is one small thing making a small action that actually creates a great effect, a large effect.
That's a cool definition.
And he came up with it because he was at the haunted hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, Stanley.
Yes.
And there was a certain old door that was very lightweight. It was big, but it was lightweight and easy to push and open and close. And it was one of the doors that the spirits kept opening and closing more often than all the other doors. And he had this idea that they were doing that because it created a greater effect. It was more noticeable than all the other doors. And not just that it was lightweight or whatever. It was just that a small action creates this large, maybe they're only limited to a small amount of force in their realm of being. So anyway, and we were kind of talking about how, chaos, discord, and stuff like that. And I mentioned I had some crazy ideas when I was younger. And one of these ideas that I came up with was creating chaos in an area like a mall or, I don't know, like a concert venue or maybe a busy city square somewhere where you would introduce into a seemingly normal, non-chaotic environment or scene, I should say. You would inject into a normal scene a little bit of novelty, a simple seed that could create novelty, but also chaos.
Yep.
So it could be good stuff. It could be like fun and positive stuff and quirkiness. It could also be, chaos involving like physical injuries, car accidents, police reports, court dates, news reports, etc. Changes in legislation. I don't know.
God.
But the idea was to there are many versions of this, I would imagine. But one of them was that you introduce a gigantic container, like a crate of bouncy balls, like
what kind of bouncy
like
balls?
rubber balls
How
that
large?
that are maybe palm size and kind of heavy, so that if you chucked it at someone's head, it would hurt a little bit. Not but the idea is that what will people choose to do with it? Will they play with it innocently? Will they take it home with them and give it to their kid or something? Or will they chuck it at a random person or their friend and then have a fight with them? But the idea was to introduce somehow thousands, as many as you could get, thousands of these balls, and then just put it there and leave in this crate, and inevitably people would be curious enough to open it up and to take at least one out or many, and then if you introduced this element into that environment, it could result in people throwing them at each other, hurting each other, tripping over them, them being thrown through windows, them being tossed at vehicles. Then you have car accidents. You got physical injuries. Broken windows. Let's say maybe a fire breaks out or two. And then all of a sudden you've got police involved.
Yep.
And it could escalate and maybe it escalates into a riot involving these innocent blue or bouncy balls that were just mysteriously appeared in so these are the kind of thoughts that a really bored person has when they're a teenager who I guess appreciates chaos. I don't know what was my idea. I think the novelty thing was the main drive of the idea, was what is a really simple way to introduce a bit of novelty into people's lives that, is simple, practical, maybe not too expensive, because you can actually buy those bulk, like pretty cheap.
Especially if you're going like through Alibaba Express or straight to the manufacturer. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I also had an idea to go to the store and buy, a dozen bundles of red yarn, and then tie the ends together, and
Project.
chuck them in a duffel bag, and then like hire somebody to do parkour through the city and wind this thread like zigzagging through the city, which I guess is illegal. And I'm not saying this is all out. This is allegedly
in
Minecraft,
like the redstone,
just an idea. Anyway, and then I guess the idea was that you would also put art installations along this zigzagging red thread route that went through a city. And this would be a way of introducing people to art pieces, but also having people meet each other spontaneously, because only, the idea being only people curious enough to follow the red thread will, follow it. And then other, people who are curious meet other people who are curious, and, novelty. I don't know.
Can't forget about Loki.
Fnord.
Walk around with a pair of scissors, just go, Kasnick it.
Right, so you would have to have like a team, like Banksy has a team. You'd have to have like a team on standby to like repair the thing.
Oh, great.
Or even better yet, maybe just never stop. Maybe just like pay a group of dudes to continuously wind this red thread through the city and along a path.
Wrap around a building, wrap around a tree. I know that's not illegal.
It's all this is pretty illegal.
It's
Obstructing traffic.
City planning.
Private property. All kinds of problems.
Minecraft mods who will stop you from doing this
No way.
in a video game because
You couldn't get a permit for this kind of thing. Yeah, it's totally.
Oh, lords, no.
That's why it's in Minecraft. It's allegedly just an idea, but yeah, I had a lot of ideas about, introducing novelty into people's boring lives. But then, I guess, the 2020s just came around the corner and things got real crazy, and it's like, maybe we need like a little less novelty. Maybe I could go with even just a little less novelty with how mad things are. Walter's giving me a look like he could do with a little bit more novelty.
Thinking like,
But make it good novelty, not like one day things are normal and then the next day these elites have decided that they're going to war and your neighborhood is getting bombed by Putin. The hell? That's the wrong kind of novelty.
if this is something to...
Yeah, we don't want Entropy to go take us to those places.
Because to be fair, there's no coming back from those places. Want to see me wipe the slate clean, Batman?
This also reminds me. You want?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Also reminds me of what Uncle Terrence said about his time wave theory, which I think most people don't subscribe to the time wave zero theory, which basically states that throughout history there are peaks and valleys of novelty, and major events are high novelty.
Mm-hmm.
But we are approaching a singularity where there will be more novelty in a single month than there is in the entire human race. And then there will come a time where there's more going on in a week than there is in the entire history of the human race. And then an hour. And then a minute. And we merge with this theoretical singularity where reality is somehow so
discordant.
Let's go with that for the sake of the episode. Discordant.
Or at least dissonant.
Where it almost
from chaos.
I mean, it could describe a union with some greater thing. It could describe the dissolution of what it means to be ourselves or what it means to be human.
What it means to be alive.
What Earth means,
Yeah.
you know, what the universe means, etc. I sometimes thought that it has something to do, and there's a lot of films that kind of point to this. It has something to do with AI. I cannot believe how often AI is brought up in our podcast, but we're just gonna do it one more time now.
Just one more time.
But yeah.
Good Lord.
I advise all of you to look into AI art.
Please do. If you can find a brush, paint with it. That is all I gotta say. Beat the devil out of it, but paint with it. Definitely paint with it. It is a tool, not a master. It is all good.
For now.
For now. Give it a galaxy brain and we have a different discussion altogether. What a wild episode. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you pull us back to Earth?
Oh, Earth, where entropy is at its nice and perfect amount, where it's not too much. We're fine. It's low entropy, so mass chaos. Yeah, sure.
I can't feel my ears. Let's just go. All right. This has been a lovely episode.
It's been amazing.
Yes.
This is golden.
Thank you so much for subscribing and listening to our
Ooh,
shenanigans.
24.
Yes, thank you, 24 subscribers. Let's keep going.
You are humans now, you golden freaks.
All right, so yeah, keep digging, folks.
Keep digging. Stay curious. Question everything. Question everyone. What was the last part of that?
Oh yeah. Seek out the big picture.
Seek out the big picture.
Question everyone. Question everything. Keep digging. Something along those lines. I don't have my notes. All right. This was fun.
This is fun. Later, you amazing human.